4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what?
Oh, yes, everybody. Welcome back to the Washington Wrestling Network podcast. I am Matt. He is Sam. And Sam, today, this podcast today has been one that we have, talked about having for a very long time. Ever since you asked me to kind of come and do this thing with you, I was like, I wonder, does anybody know how to get in touch with Larry Owings, And it's a cool story. I'll talk about it when Larry gets in here. But how's it going, Sam?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm all jazzed up, ready to talk to Larry. It was cool. We were just doing a little bit of testing in the background to make sure his audio and his video was good, and already starting to shoot the breeze with him. But now we get to do the whole thing, and I'm so freaking excited, man. How's it going on your end, brother?
Hey, it's going well. Our live stream went well. I think it was eclipsed 1,000 live viewers when it first happened live. We've since doubled that now. And I mean, that was just our first live stream. We were testing out some of the new equipment, the kinks. Thank you to Tahoma High School for having us there. Thank you to Chris Weiss for getting on some color commentary during the match, which was really, really cool. Don't slay us. It wasn't perfect. We did not have some access to some of the stuff that we would normally have access to. I left my mic stand with you, so I'm having to hold this thing the entire podcast, which will be great and fine. But the live stream went really well. I think NIC and Big Ben, it was a very fun duel. We had a couple really strong come from behind wins there by Big Ben, which was kind of cool and very fun. You guys can go back and watch that on YouTube. But we know it's 6:30 here, so some kids are at practice preseason. It starts on or the season starts on Monday.
Monday, yeah.
A little bit about our schedule. We were supposed to have Justin Kesterson on today. We had to reschedule him for next Wednesday, and Larry was kind enough to kind of push his podcast up, which was really, really cool. And then on Sunday is a big day for us. Look at Dave Gilbertson in the chat. Looking forward to hearing from Larry. Thanks,
Hey,
Dave. Appreciate you. And so on Sunday's a big podcast for us. We're releasing our top 10 rankings. It will be on the website, each class, boys and girls. So we're going to be live talking about that, and that'll be our first rankings release. And Gregory Marks in the chat, you guys killed it. This is going to be epic. I appreciate that, Mr. Greg Marks.
What's up, Greg?
Let's actually put this. We are sponsored by Westbrook, and that's actually part of the story. I was going to get into that, but I'll put this here.
Westbrook, a wrestler's story. A movie for wrestlers, with wrestlers, by wrestlers.
Westbrook the movie. We got a chance to see, not the finished movie, but it was a really fun time. I really enjoyed the movie and can't wait to see it come out. But without further ado, I guess we'll quit burying the lead here. Mr. Larry Owings is joining the podcast. Larry, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, we're doing really, really well. Sam, before I let you kind of go off here, I want to talk about how we even came about this. So Greg Marks, invited us to be a part of the pre-screener for Westbrook the movie, which is a movie it's got some wrestling in it, about a wrestler's story. The thing is filmed in Tacoma, use local wrestlers, local athletes, and all that stuff, which was great. But we were there doing some film, and it was so random. I literally walked out of the theater, I think it was right before it happened, and Mark K from Gut Check and a friend of his was outside, and I just heard the name Larry Owings. And I go, oh, you know Larry Owings? And it was a guy I've never met before in my life. And he goes, yeah, I was just texting with Larry today. And I go, oh, really? I go, can you call him? I felt very bad, because I was like, can you call the guy? I'd love to get a hold of him, because I don't know how else I would get a hold of you, right? And then I texted you from his phone number. I said, "Hey, this is Matt. Here's my number." And we got out of the pre-screener, and Larry Owings said, "Give me a call." And so we called you, and I said, "Larry, I tried to hit you up on Facebook," and you go, "Yeah, I don't really use Facebook." And so it was awesome, and I thank you so much for replying to that text message that came out of here randomly, and here we are about a month later. Larry, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and yeah, I don't do Facebook anymore. I mean, it just got to be too much hassle. I ended up spending half my day on Facebook, and I go, this is not good.
Yeah, that's a little reminder.
I just stopped doing it, and it was probably Randy Tamaris that you talked to.
Maybe, yeah, Randy sounds right.
Yeah, and he's quite a guy. He's an excellent person to know.
That's awesome. Sam, well, go ahead. Let's start our podcast.
Hey, Larry. Yeah, Sam here. We just met a few minutes ago. Man, it's just a pleasure to be able to have you on the podcast. Like I said, we are massive University of Washington fans, just in general. And, just foreseeing what could be a resurgence of UW wrestling in the future. I know it's going to take a lot of work, and we can get into that a little bit later on. But Larry, I just wanted to, this is kind of how we start our podcast a little bit when we bring guests on, is kind of just talking about your background, who you are and stuff. And, we got a lot of young wrestlers that tune into this podcast and might not know who you are, which is really unfortunate. But at the end of the day, we want to know about your background and how you got into wrestling. And we understand that you grew up in Canby, Oregon. But talk about your childhood and your introduction to wrestling and how it just came to be in your life. Why don't you start us off with that?
Well, first of all, this is the first podcast I've ever been on, so if I screw things up, please forgive me. But my story is kind of interesting. I grew up in a family of I had 4 older brothers, and they were all wrestlers, and they were all state champions. And I was the last of the boys, and the joke was, the coach at Canby High School, I went to Canby High School, and they said, we need another Owings. Is there any more Owings boys coming up? We need another state champion. And the joke was, yeah, we got a younger brother, but he's too fat. He'll never be a wrestler. And they were right. I was fat. There's no question about it. When I was in the 5th grade, I weighed about 155 pounds, and I wasn't even 5 foot tall. And so I was kind of roly-poly. In fact, they nicknamed me Porky. And all my brothers and sisters, well, I shouldn't say that. My mom and my sister are the only 2 people that did not call me Porky. My dad called me Porky. The boys called me Porky. Everybody at school called me Porky. And I was Porky to everybody. And, when you want to talk about bullying, I guess you could call that bullying today. And it really hurt me deep down inside. But you had to be tough back then, and you couldn't let people know how much it bothered you. But they made up songs about me and teased me, and I still remember one song. It was, "Whoa, fat Porky, move over. Whoa, move over, fat Porky." And they would go on and on and on with this until I would run away crying because I was just a young kid, and I didn't know how to handle that, and my parents weren't any help either. But so anyway, that's kind of how I got started. And then when I got into the 7th and 8th grade, I went to work for an old Norwegian dairy farmer, and I grew up on a 30-acre farm, and my parents had a lot of berries, and we used to have to pick berries all day long, and I hated picking berries. And anytime they said pick berries, I thought, oh no, I'm not going to make any money. And so the first chance I got a job away from the farm because I didn't want to pick any more berries. So I got this job with this Norwegian dairy farmer, and it was a job of hauling hay. And I hauled hay all day long, 6 days a week, all summer long. I went from 155 pounds down to about 120 in one summer.
Nice.
And at the same time, I grew up a little bit. So, and that kind of was my start going to high school. And I went into a freshman year in high school, and I wrestled at 123 pounds. And I wasn't varsity, I was a JV guy. And I wrestled freshman matches and JV matches. And, I won all of my freshman and JV matches, and I kept challenging for varsity because that's where you wanted to be. If you were the varsity guy, you were good. And I kept challenging, and finally I beat the varsity guy by 1 point. We had to go 2 out of 3, and I won both matches. And so I got to wrestle varsity. At any rate, what they didn't tell me was against Silverton High School, and I had to wrestle a guy by the name of Donnie Roth, who's I'm still friends with him today. But Donnie was a returning third in place state from the year before. And so I went out and I went after Don, and to make a long story short, he turned me every way but loose, and pinned me in the second round. And I was just totally devastated. All the confidence that I'd built up at that point was totally gone. And I ended up wrestling 5 varsity matches that year. And I basically stunk up the mat every time I wrestled varsity, because I had no confidence. And it's so important in wrestling to have confidence. If you don't have your confidence, you best not even go out on the mat. So, but at any rate, I wrestled 5 varsity matches. My last match, my coach took me aside and he said, "Larry," he says, "what's wrong?" He says, "You're a better wrestler than that. Are you sick or something?" And I thought about that, and so I came back and I went to the district tournament and wrestled a match, and I actually scored a takedown and I threw a move, and I lost, but I came off the mat, and my coach says, "That was a lot better. You did a lot better job." And so, it's my coaching was so important to me then. And I owe so much to my coach, Larry Wright, at Cambie High School. He's passed away now, but, if it hadn't been for Larry Wright, I probably would never have been a wrestler. But at any rate, so I lost out of the district tournament, and I was out. That was the season. But they had the postseason Greco-Roman tournament and freestyle tournaments. Well, I entered the Greco-Roman tournament as a freshman, and I wrestled 123 pounds at the district, and I cut weight down to 120 pounds. So I was 3 pounds lighter, and I went to this tournament. Well, at any rate, I went to the tournament, and the first guy I drew, I looked across the mat at him, and I go, that guy looks like a JV guy. I think I can beat him. And so I went across, and I wrestled him, and I pinned him. And I thought, wow, that was great. I thought he was a freshman or a JV guy. And I come off the mat, and my coach, he slaps me on the back. He says, "Great job." He said, "That guy got second in state this year." And I go, What? Yeah. And so I thought, well, okay. So I wrestled my second match. And again, same thing happened. I looked across the JV guy, little, scrawny, shrimpy guy.
Yeah, little Sam, like it looked like Sam a little bit.
So I can beat that guy. And so I wrestled him, and I pinned him. And I come off the mat. Coach Wright slapped me on the back. Says, "That guy got second in state too this year." And I thought, wow, okay, I've beaten a couple guys that placed in state. Wow, So my confidence came back up a little bit. So I wrestled my third match. And the same thing happened. Now, I don't know if my coach was lying to me or what, but at any rate, he come off the mat and he slapped me back. Says, "That guy got second in state at a different division." Says, "You've beaten 3 guys that placed second in the state this year." Make a long story short, the only guy that I lost to in the entire tournament was the state champion, Rich Henjoji. And I ended up placing third in the state Greco-Roman tournament. And that was my way. That built my confidence back up. And I was so proud of that medal. I got a copper-colored medal thing, or bronze color. It wasn't gold, and it wasn't silver, so some other color. But, I was so proud of that medal. I wore that thing everywhere, and I still have it today.
Nice.
And I
That's
still
awesome.
have fond memories of that thing.
That's great. Hey, Larry, Matt's going to get into the big stuff, right? The big match that everybody knows about, right? And it's what probably everybody talks about when they confront you is that huge upset that you had against Dan Gable. But, as you're exiting high school, you had a fantastic career. You ended up winning a couple state titles. This is, the prelude to you going to the University of Washington. I want to ask you a little bit about UW, and I know we'll get into this in after we talk about your big match in 1970.
Can I finish my high school career just real quick?
Absolutely, please. The floor is yours.
So that was my freshman year. My sophomore year, I wrestled at 130 pounds, and I won all my matches except when I got to the district tournament. I looked across the mat and I saw this guy. He looked like a gorilla, hair coming out of him, but the thing is, his name is what got me. It was Jim Roth, Don Roth's brother. And guess what happened in the finals of that tournament? I lost 8-0 because I didn't think that I could beat Jim Roth. Then I went to the state tournament, and I won my first match and made it all the way to the semifinals. And I lost by referee's decision. Back then, if the score was tied in regulation, you went overtime. Mm-hmm. And overtime, the score was tied. Then the referee decided who went on. Well, I lost by referee's decision in the overtime. And the other guy went on into the finals, and I dropped down into the consolation bracket. I wrestled all the way back through the consolation bracket and beat everybody and got third place in the state tournament. Guess what place Jim Roth got? He didn't place.
Oh.
Okay.
He went on, but then lost somewhere after that, and then you came all the way back, and he pulled a Sam and dusted right out of the tournament.
Yep. And so I knew then that I could beat Jimmy Roth. I wrestled Jimmy Roth twice more before I graduated. He was the same age that I was, and I beat him both times. One was 12-6, and the other was 11-1.
Nice.
So right up here is where it was at. When you don't think you can do it, you're going to have trouble. When you know you can do it, or you think you can do it, you're going to be all right. So anyway, that I ended up pinning everybody in the state tournament my last 2 years and graduated. And
he goes, so anyway, I pinned literally everybody else from that moment on and ended up a 2-time state champ.
Yeah, I think there's one or two guys I didn't pin for the rest of my season.
I'm glad you cut me off right there, Larry, because that's huge, man. And we got a lot of young wrestlers that tune into this podcast, and
well, I hope they hear that. Your confidence is really, really important.
100%.
Well, actually, Sam, if you don't mind, can I actually ask a quick question, Larry? So you said it was like 5th grade. Is that when you actually started? Because you had a bunch of older brothers that were already state champs. Like, when did you actually step foot on the wrestling mat?
Well, we had sort of a Mickey Mouse thing at the grade school, just kind of a practice, a little bit of roll around. But I really didn't start wrestling until I was a freshman in high school.
See, look at that's like a story in itself, because a lot of people think they got to be this, wrestling since they were a kid to be great. But you didn't start until you were a freshman and ended up, as the story goes, ended up beating one of the best wrestlers of all time and kind of doing it as just a freshman that kind of showed up after baling some hay and gaining some confidence. Can I ask you, Larry, what do you think was the confidence? Oh, sorry, we got your phone. Your phone's ringing, Larry.
Yeah, let me cut it off. Hang on a second.
No problem. That's a house phone, by the way, in case anyone wants to know what that is.
Okay. It's on. Sorry about that.
My question to you, Larry, is what was the confidence changer? Was it the fact that you were starting to get some wins, or was it just in your mind that you thought, like, I can do this? So what changed the confidence in you from that beaten young man, to where you went?
Well, the confidence from my coach, first of all, really was a big help. And then me being able to do better and beat the guys that beat me was the second thing that helped my confidence more than anything else. And so I always like to wrestle guys that beat me to get my revenge match, so to speak.
I'm a big revenge match guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know it, but when I was a high school senior, I won the Pacific Northwest Olympic Trials tournament and the regional tournament. And I went back to the finals tournament. And the first match that I wrestled back there, you'll never guess who it was.
Who's
The
that?
first match?
Dan Gable.
Oh man.
I think I had it here that you did wrestle him earlier
And
in the year.
I was a high school senior, and Dan Gable was already a national champion. And I wrestled Dan Gable, and he beat me 9-5.
But you had him on his back.
I got him on his back just briefly. And then my second match was a guy by the name of Dan Huff. I think it was Dan Huff. Tommy Huff, I'm sorry. And he was already national champion too from Colorado Springs. And I lost to him 6-4. So I went back and come home with my tail between my legs because I thought, man, this college wrestling is tough. And yet I didn't realize how good these guys were at the time. And so I actually did probably pretty good when you take a high school senior against an NCAA champion. You know, even if they score any points at all, it's probably a pretty good deal.
Well, you're looking right now, Larry. You know, we had talked a little bit on the back screen here that, you know, you may not be as directly clued into what's going on, but there are 3 seniors right now, specifically, you know, Bo Bassett, Jax Forrest, and Melvin Miller, who are winning college tournaments. And actually, Jax Forrest is on the U.S. national team just by beating Vito Rujao, who was like a returning double national champ, Olympic team member. And so we got some really amazing seniors doing some awesome things right now. And even in Washington State, Trey just got signed today. And I know there's a couple others out there as well. But for those tuning in, we will do a live watch along of the Dan Gable match with Larry Owings. That is coming up soon. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, as a high school senior, you know, I beat a lot of college kids in the Olympic regional tournament, the Pac-8 champions and several of them that placed, you know. So, you know, I was able to compete against the college guys, but a national champion is pretty hard to compete with.
Yeah, so Larry, by your senior year, having some looks, you know, on that stage and getting a feel for kind of what it was like to wrestle at the next level, you kind of had to make a decision, right? It was where am I going to go from Canby, Oregon? How am I going to take the next step and go to the next level and find the best spot? And I mean, everybody knows you wrestled for the University of Washington. Unfortunately, that's not a program anymore, but at the time, a really great program. What made you decide to go to the University of Washington?
Well, I actually toured a lot of different colleges. I went back to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and looked at their campuses, but you know, it's too far away from home and too flat and muddy, and I just couldn't make it there. But any rate, then I went to BYU and checked that out, and it was kind of barren down there. And I went to Oregon and Oregon State. My older brothers went to Oregon State, and none of them ever did anything. So I thought they didn't like the coach. So I thought, well, I probably wouldn't like the coach either. And Portland State was not academic enough for me. I went up to Washington, and I wanted to go into architecture, and they had a great architectural program. And Coach Jim Smith was really up and coming and very enthusiastic and everything. And he recruited me and gave me an offer of same thing that any other schools gave me. And so I thought, okay, that's a little ways away from home, but not too far. And I like to coach. So that's why I picked the University of Washington.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so talk about your first year there. Talk about your introduction to the campus. Talk about some of your memories as a freshman at the University of Washington, and kind of like, I guess, your first impressions of being on Montlake.
Yeah, university was a great place for me to go. It turned out to be a good choice. I wrestled at that time. Freshmen were ineligible on the Pacific Coast, so we couldn't compete on varsity level. So I had to wrestle JV all year long, except we could compete at the national tournament. So I wrestled 158, 150, 158 all year long, and won all my matches. I did wrestle against Athletes in Action and against Doug Rickard, and I beat him 14-4. And he's a college wrestler, and but that was about the only one. So at the end of the year, I had to make a choice as to what weight I wanted to go to at the national tournament. So I'd wrestled 150, 158. So I thought, okay, so I challenged at 150, and I beat the guys there on the Washington team. Then I went down to, I think the weight was 145, and I challenged there, and I beat those guys. And then the next weight class was 137. So I went down, lost weight, and challenged at that match and won them. But Dan Gable was 137 at the national tournament. I go, I don't want to go up against Dan Gable. I don't know if I can beat him yet. And so I decided I'd cut to 130.
Jeez, my guy, he just kept going down.
So I cut to 130 and won the challenge matches there. And I went back to the nationals at 130 pounds. And I wrestled in high school. I'd wrestled 141 my senior year.
Sheesh.
And at any rate, so I went back at 130, and I think I won, I want to say 3 matches. And then my 4th match was in the quarterfinals against a guy by the name of Reed Lamphere. Reed was a very good wrestler, but they knew Granby rolls back there, and we didn't know the Granby roll on the West Coast yet. So he threw me twice in the Granby roll for 10 points, and I lost 14-12.
It's almost like it's kind of like right now, it's like the state. It seems like we're a little behind in some of this. Not everybody, but then you go and you wrestle in the Midwest or on the East Coast, and the riding is pretty tough in comparison to what's being taught out here. At least
Right.
it seems like it's pretty similar. Go
Right.
ahead, Sam.
Right. So anyway, so I ended up losing to Reed, and back then, if you lost in the quarterfinals, you were out. Nowadays, if you lose in the quarterfinals, you get back in. So I was out of the tournament, and I went to work eating, and I think I gained 25 pounds in 2 days. So
That checks out.
yeah, I got checked out. But so at any rate, so then my freshman year, the last thing I did is I wrestled at the United States Wrestling Federation National Tournament in freestyle and Greco-Roman. I went back to that, and I went at 149.5 pounds. And I won the freestyle tournament, the national tournament, and then I had the most falls in the freestyle tournament. And then I went to the Greco-Roman tournament, and I was the outstanding wrestler in the Greco-Roman tournament. I wrestled the guy who was 5th in the world the year before, and I pinned him in the finals.
Nice.
So I come back with 4 trophies and 2 national titles, one in freestyle and one in Greco.
Yeah, so you're entering your sophomore year now at this point.
So that was all my freshman year.
That was your freshman year, but
Yeah.
but I want to ask you just about how, that off season and the lead up to your sophomore year, and just how things kind of changed for you a little bit, because you really had a fantastic season. Obviously, we're going to talk about it, but what were some of the things that you learned in your freshman year to really propel yourself into that sophomore season where you were really locked in?
Well, the only thing, I lost 1 match my freshman year, and that was it. But I kind of learned that you don't go down a weight to avoid somebody. And that's what I had done. I tried to go down to avoid Gable. So my sophomore year, I wrestled 158 again all season long. And I was the Pacific 8 champion at 158 pounds. And the guy I wrestled in the finals was Kim Snyder from Oregon State, who used to be a teammate of mine at Canby High School.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
At any rate, I beat him 12-5, and he ended up being 3rd in the NCAA at 158 pounds that year. And but for the nationals, I decided I was going to go 142 because Dan Gable was at that weight. and this would be the last chance that I would have to wrestle him in collegiate style. So I cut weight from 158 as a Pacific Coast champion down to 142 pounds and went to the NCAA at 142 pounds.
So I want to actually go back a little bit. You mentioned that you learned that you don't cut to avoid somebody. So are you saying that just because you didn't get the chance to go and wrestle him, and in hindsight, you wish you would have had that chance? Or like, why do you say that specifically?
Well, when I cut to 130, that was too far. I should not have cut.
That was it. It was about the weight cut.
I should have either stayed at 145 or stayed at 137. If I went to 37, I'd have had to wrestle Gable, and I didn't really want to wrestle him yet. If I'd have stayed at 45, I think Mike Grant was there, and he won the nationals at 145 that year. So it was a tough. Either one of those are tough weight classes. But my sophomore year, I decided that this is my last shot to get Dan Gable. If I didn't wrestle him here, I wasn't going to wrestle him.
So I want to set this up a little bit because here in just a minute, we're going to watch the match live with you. And that will be a first ever, I think, that one, you've ever done a podcast. I know you've done documentaries, and stuff, and you've talked about it, but never once has there ever been a watch along with Larry Owings. I mean, we get a chance to do that. That's going to be really fun for everybody. But I want to set the table here. So sophomore year, at what point, and people don't know this because we haven't set this up, but the national tournament was going to be at the University of Washington that year. At what point did you know that?
No, the tournament was at Northwestern.
Oh, it was at Northwestern. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was at home. Okay, and where's Northwestern again? Is that Chicago?
Chicago.
Yep.
Okay, so when did you catch wind that it was going to be in Chicago? Is that right at the beginning of the season?
Well, I didn't really pay any attention to where it was going to be. It didn't make any difference to me. I was going to the national tournament, and that's all I cared about.
So the reason why I say that, because I have watched hours of documentaries in prep for this podcast, Larry, and Dan Gable actually talks about how from the second he stepped in that center for the NCAA tournament, all that was being said was that there was this guy from University of Washington that was here to beat him. And that was you. Did you sense any of that press or anything? Because I'll get into why later, but did you feel any of that? Was there any bit of that? I wouldn't say it's pressure, maybe, or maybe you did feel pressure, but did you feel any of that?
Well, it was interesting. They interviewed me before the match, and I still remember the guy, why are you going to wrestle Dan Gable? I mean, what makes you think, you can do anything? I said, and flat out, I told him, I'm going to beat him. And it caught him so off guard. He didn't know what to say, but, I had to have that confidence. If I didn't have that confidence, it's like I said, confidence is so important in wrestling. And if you don't have that confidence, you're best off probably not even stepping on the mat if you don't think you can win.
And Sam, sorry to take this over because I have a lot of this little pre-match stuff. So Dan Gable also talks about how he was being interviewed by ESPN just shortly before the match was happening. And okay. Yeah. So you said that in a way, Larry. You said that in a way because you've probably seen the videos where all Dan Gable talks about was how he normally did all this warm up. He normally liked to get about a 45-minute warm up before he wrestled. And the story goes, and I don't know if we are going to talk about excuses or not. Like, obviously we love Dan. We would love to interview him, and we love you, Larry. And that, it's a legendary thing to talk about now, but he talks about how he was being asked by Worldwide Sport to kind of cut like this promo, like he had already won the match.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Dan Gable. I went undefeated in college, 182-0. And
come watch me win my third national title.
Yeah, correct. And apparently what Dan Gable said was he couldn't for the life of him get the the thing out. And so it apparently took him forever to do it. He finally gets it done. He turns around, and it's halfway through the match right before you guys wrestled. So my question to you, Larry, because obviously that's Dan Gable's side of the story. Did you see him being interviewed, right before the match? Like, what is going through your mind as you're getting ready to warm up? Because the reason why I ask is Dan Gable is very famous for getting hyped about the matches that were coming before. He would walk back and forth, and that's what would get him kind of going. Did you see him getting interviewed directly before the match?
No, I never did notice that he was being interviewed or anything before the match. The only thing I knew is that, he had pinned everybody in the tournament all the way to the finals. But I did notice that I pinned everybody through the finals too. And mine were 20 seconds faster than his pins. So I wrestled the tougher opponents.
That's true, because he was the top seed. What about you mentioned that before that you would like to have these revenge matches. So was there anything going through your mind at all? I mean, I know you gave yourself the confidence in your mind, but you had also never wrestled him, in a recent history to where you can kind of grab a hold of that and say, I can do it. Was there any type of fleeting memory from you as that you couldn't do it?
It was 2 years since I had wrestled him. And Dan Gable, I knew that he pinned almost everyone he wrestled. And so my strategy going into this match was, I don't think Dan Gable can go a full 6 minutes if somebody pushes him really, really hard. And so part of my strategy was to go after him 100% for 6 full minutes. And I think that strategy paid off, because I remember once hearing Dan in an interview saying, if I'd have had to go overtime, he says, I'm not sure I could have even wrestled, or something to that effect. And so I had pushed him to the point where he was totally exhausted. Now I was exhausted too, no question about that. But one of the things that you want to do is never let your opponent know how exhausted you are. You go out of bounds, you run back to the center. I don't care how tired you are. And you sit there and you wait. And while that guy drags his butt up off the mat and solders back in slowly. It's a psychological effect. How in the world can that guy run back to the mat and I can hardly even get up off the mat? And so you work these psychological things on him. And so that was part of it too. And I thought about the moves that I was going to do in the match ahead of time. I knew what moves I was going to do, and I was bound to determine they were going to work, and they did. I did the single arm spin through twice. First time didn't work, but I did it on the other arm, and it worked.
Okay, Larry, we're going to get into this, Larry. We're going to get into this. This is my favorite part. Sam, if you're ready, I'd like to just get into this.
Ready,
okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I just had to set
seat.
it up.
Yeah.
I just had to set it up because that was my favorite parts of watching all these documentaries.
For sure.
And he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and everything, and this is all he could talk about was about this interview. And I just thought to myself, Larry, were you getting interviewed too? Okay, you were. Did you see him get interviewed? And so I just think Dan Gable talked about this, and this is the last thing I'll talk about, is the second he stepped foot in that building, it was all about Larry Owings. And he said it just got to him. It just got in his mind. And then all of a sudden the interviews started coming and all this stuff coming. And it's like, you had him. I think you had him from the beginning. And I
have to think that when I wrestled him back when I was a high school senior and had him briefly on his back, that he had to have that on his mind too.
Mm-hmm.
We got a quick question here from Greg Marks. What was your conditioning and diet like? That's a good question real quick before we get here.
Well, I was running in the morning about 3 miles every morning before practice, and then of course having the practices and any type of free time that I had, I was playing racquetball or squash or something like that. So I was in pretty good shape. What
about your diet?
My diet, well, getting down to 142 from 158, you're not going to eat a lot.
Yeah, that's and let's just remind people, Larry had wrestled 158 all year, and then decides right before the tournament that I'm going to get Dan Gable at 142. So comes down to 142. That's setting it up, and let's see if we can get this thing up here. All right, well, let's go ahead and watch this here.
Now,
Larry, can you hear it?
I want you to count the number of times that Dan Gable goes out of bounds here, too.
You're already talking about it. I love it. Okay, here's the thing, guys. I am gonna start and stop some of this. Trev, I can't really see or Sam, I can't really see some of the comments coming through because I'll be on the YouTube side. So if you do see it, tell me to pause it. And I'm gonna pause some of the stuff here. But this is not our video, it's from the NCAA, and this has got over 300,000 views on YouTube. You guys can find it anywhere you look, but we're gonna watch this through first ever.
Dan Gable hasn't
Can you guys hear it?
College. He's a senior, 21 years old, against Larry Owings, who's a sophomore from Hubbard, Oregon. He's lost one bout this year, 133, and lost one. They're going to come out after each other. They're not going to wait around. It doesn't look like they're going to feel each other out like they might have. Gable dropped in. Owings countered him.
Underarm spin
by Owings.
Okay, now, Larry, you had mentioned, I'll stop it here for the very first time. You had mentioned that this was a contentious point for you pre-match, just kind of knowing this was about something you wanted to hit. Where did that come from? Where did this, end up to be here?
Well, it wasn't the move. I don't think Dan Gable had thrown on him a lot, and I'm not sure he had seen it. But I did this move on his left side, my right side. And the next time I do it, it'll be on the opposite side because it didn't work on this side. But usually with a wrestler, if the move doesn't work on one side, it'll probably work on the other side. So that's an important thing for people to remember.
Sure.
Can we talk about these tights real quick, Larry? Because they have phased out, but it looked like the tights were the thing back then. Was that like the cool thing to do back then?
Yeah, that was everybody wore them.
Nice. Okay, we'll continue on here.
Oh, move. Beautiful move by Larry Owings. Now here comes Gable in. On the leg. Takedown for Gable. 2-0 lead.
Now you let him get you there. That was you just going a little bit too aggressive, I think, right there.
Yep, you're right.
Gable with a white headgear, and as predicted, Gable's out ahead. He has a loss, as I mentioned, in high school.
Now, a lot of people have talked about Gable's pressure on top. How did that feel for you while you were down there?
I didn't really think too much about the pressure. I was just trying to score points.
That's awesome.
School or college, really working on Larry Owings. They're starting out so strongly. Can they keep up this pace, you think? We'll just have to wait and see, but Gable is real good on top. Ooh, Owings out. No. He almost got pinned there. It was on his back just for an instant, but not
even close.
Larry, as a coach, I would have gone bananas for that, Larry. I would have gone bananas for that there. But thank gosh you got out. A little bit, you said not even close. It could have been a swipe and airfall there. You never know, huh?
Not enough for a point. Look at that Owings go. He's up for one.
One escape.
And now it's 2-1 the score.
Now watch the
final headgear on top.
No, single arm. This is a spin free. The other side.
Goes again on an underarm.
It's beautiful.
That right there, Larry. Now I've never even seen that now, Larry. Did you intend to kind of gut wrench him there? A little bit of trapped arm gut? What was that?
The counter to that at that point is a step over. So Dan Gable did the step over as a counter to my move, and I did the roll through as a counter to his move.
Tight waist roll through. Yeah.
If I can kind of get back a little bit, see if we can watch that again.
Look at that Owings go. He's up for one. And now it's 2-1 the score. Dan Gable with a white headgear on top.
Opposite side.
Other side this time, yeah.
This is the first period. There Owings goes again on an underarm spin.
Tight waist.
Wow.
Beautiful move.
Incredible.
That was the same move he tried earlier.
Now look at him.
Now
you can't really see it now, but you saw it from the very first takedown. He was crawling right out of the mat here.
Yep.
And that's exactly it. Watch him. The second he gets on bottom here, just crawls.
That was the same move he tried earlier, but did not score. So Owings now goes out ahead on that takedown by a score of 3-2 here.
He's
in the
already
first
looking
period.
at the
One
clock
of the few times
here.
in his life, Dan Gable, checking the scoreboard, finds himself behind.
We'll see now how he reacts. He's not used to being behind.
A leg ride.
Owings has put a leg in, but Gable got it out right now.
Again, crawling.
It's good tracking.
Muscle
Gable
back to the
checking
center.
time once again.
Yep.
Few moments left here in the first 2-minute period. Calls
Oh,
the
and the
timeout.
old shoe
Time
tie
two.
method here.
Yeah.
Now, this is
Great
another
crowd,
thing I want.
too.
Yeah, the crowd is on fire. This is another thing, Larry. Did they make you have to sit on your heels back then? Because you're going to notice here a lot that Dan Gable starts in
It's
almost
almost
a little
like a
bit of a
freestyle.
parterre.
Yeah, freestyle start almost a little bit.
No, you didn't have to sit on your heels. You could lay flat or whatever you wanted.
Okay, interesting.
But now, when they go off the edge, they'll come back to the center and start again, just as they did before.
Yeah, that was
The mat
cautioned
is
6
32
times
feet in
there.
diameter. Looks like Gable's getting out of there, up over top, but Owings stays
Still
with
to
him.
this day, good technique. Wonderful.
Now Gable seems to be going
Again,
off the mat
crawling
all
off the
time. Boy,
mat.
He's a very offensive wrestler.
It's I don't know, Bud. I'm not used to. I've seen Dan Gable wrestle over 20 bouts, and of course, I've never seen him go off the mat before.
Well, let the referee begin to warn him about that or not?
Well, of course, if you do it very often, they can call you for going off.
And there's the end of the first period.
All right, end of the first period, Larry. This is a pivotal point. You're up on Dan Gable 2-1. I think that might. I mean,
3-2.
3-2. Excuse
3-2.
me.
Yep.
3-2 is the score. What are you feeling right now, Larry?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Is that all that's going through your mind at the time, or do you think that
Well,
he's breaking? I mean,
No, I'm thinking what I'm going to do in the next match. Hopefully I'm down, which ended up being down, and I want to get my escape and then a takedown to add to the score. But it wasn't uncommon for me when I was wrestling to get taken down in the first round. I mean, the joke used to be about me is Larry goes out and they take him down and reverses him and pins him. And so, it wasn't uncommon for me to get taken down in the first round. So I was used to that. So it didn't bother me at all.
well, what's kind of cool about that is a defense mechanism. And Sam, I think you could maybe attest to this, is there is a bit of your energy that dumps right after that first takedown. Once that first bit of action gets gone, your energy does dump. And Gable maybe getting that first takedown maybe starts to think, okay, I got this in the bag. Maybe let's kind of sit back, wait. And then all of a sudden, Larry Owings is just gunning it on bottom, never stopping his motion and momentum. That's got to break you a little bit. Let's continue on to round 2.
With Owings on top of Dan Gable by a score of 3-2.
You see Pascal Perry flip the coin, and Dan Gable has received his choice, and
I like
chooses
down.
top. He wants to break this.
Okay, so Gable chooses top here. Wow. Okay. I don't know that that's a good decision there. No consulting from the other coach there. You clearly got off bottom earlier in the first round. I mean,
And he takes his position and then he gets up and stalls a little bit more too,
he goes, I know exactly what's about to happen here. Okay.
Owings kid down and try and turn him. Put him on his back.
I think a lot of the crowd is stunned to find Dan Gable hasn't lost in high school or college behind here.
Yeah, I
Nice.
believe they are. They don't know
Oh.
quite what to think right now. Of course, it's a close match. Oh,
Yeah,
Scramble.
That's got to be dejecting. Oh,
4-2 now.
Or
For that
two.
dump.
He's right back in, Bud. On a takedown. He hasn't got it.
oh, what an incredible
And now
takedown.
Owings goes out ahead by a score of 6.
Now, was
Can
that?
I want to
Go
ask
ahead,
a
Sam.
question about that, Larry. So you hit that underarm spin in the first period and didn't hit a leg both times, but that one right there, it's not really an underarm spin. It's more of like a fireman's carry.
That
dump.
is a fireman's carry.
Fireman's carry. So you're really going attacking the leg right there and trying to
Yeah.
wrench down on that elbow and trying to dump him down as best as you can.
Fireman's
right there.
carry
Yep.
was my favorite takedown. And I started it in the center of the mat, and I started getting close to the edge of the mat, and I knew if I didn't get him taken down that we were going to go out of bounds and I wouldn't get the takedown. So
Gotcha.
I used all of my strength. I mean, I don't know where I got the strength, but I just picked him up, you know, He-Man type in the air, and then kind of threw him over my shoulders. So it was a real muscle move there more than anything.
Yes.
That's that grip strength on that elbow right there, right? When you're pulling down that elbow down, right? That's a lot of wrestlers that still use that move to this day and are very successful with it. A lot of the top wrestlers in Washington are using that move, still wrenching down on that elbow. Yep.
That arm is so important.
For sure.
Well, Larry, I think going back to what Sam was kind of saying was the action of the underarm spin and the first 2 underarm spins, you know, you get a very similar action in that fireman's where you kind of are coming under that arm. Maybe Gable was thinking, okay, here I am again. He's just going to hit that arm spin. He's been hitting and then you actually stay under, wrench down hard, get into that leg. And I think, you know, absolutely he's on Front Street here getting caught. And I know what you mean. I was, you know, after watching this a couple hundred times, I was in practice the other day. I was in practice with my kids and I hit a fireman's and I was kind of stuck under there. I'm like, I'm going to Larry Owens this thing. And I held onto that elbow and I just fought. And that's kind of this is like a true test to some of these kids out here is just because you think you don't have it, like you got to fight here. This is an advantageous position. And if Larry Owens can get Dan Gable in this, you guys can get it too. Let's see if we can go back a little bit here. Just because I like to see that.
What to think right now. Of course, it's a close match.
Inside
boom.
Elbow.
Everything.
Here's where I pick him up.
6-2. Now watch this. Watch the little push. Oh,
love that.
Right back.
He lost his contact.
Yeah, that's true. He lost the coin flip. You got an escape.
Lost his contact is what he's saying. His eye contact.
Okay. Yeah, he pulled that thing out on purpose. It's guaranteed.
No, when I did the fireman's, his head hit and it knocked it out.
Okay, so but you did what you said. You're back to the center. You're ready to wrestle.
Yep.
Maybe his contact lens. Referee
psychologically working on him.
Going over to his coach now.
Yes, that's Coach Nichols who has.
Okay, you're up big right now. I think you're up. What is that? 4, 5, 6, 7 to 2.
6-2 for Iowa State.
6-2.
He's checking his contact. Apparently, it's right in his eye yet, bud. He just slid it back in.
No, it's on the mat.
This is amazing. Here he is down by a score of 6-2. Dan Gable.
Cradle attempt.
That far. Cradle. He's got his hands locked. He could possibly turn him with this.
Dan Gable's inching out of bounds.
Oh yeah, watch him crawl. He's crawling again.
Well, he may just. He's
nice
got
leg
control.
ride, yeah.
Far
arm.
Put it on.
Good pressure.
Pulling back in to help the referee make a decision.
That was a point, bud.
Okay, now when you stalled, did you get 1 point right away when you stalled back in the day, or was that his second call?
That was intentional going out of bounds. It wasn't
fleeing the mat.
Okay, they gave him a fleeing the mat call right there. Okay. And he is mad. He's like, what do you mean?
Holding 1 point, falling off the mat. That means a point for Owings.
And that goes 7-2 now. Owings out ahead. He really looks stoked as if he's going to beat this champion.
Yeah, you are scaring me, Larry. Scaring me.
Here comes Gable back.
7-4.
There's the reversal. And that makes the score 7-4. Owings on the bottom, though, still leads 7-4 over the great champion Dan Gable.
Gable's really tough on top, though. He can ride. He's got excellent balance.
He hasn't rode you at all this entire match.
Of course, usually put them on their back. Both of these fellas have pinned everybody in this tournament up to now.
Oh, no.
Watch out. Gable's
Not
got a
done.
good pinning situation.
Great strength right here. That's a good.
No, I think I should have had an escape
And
here.
Owings is
Okay, wait a second. There isn't an escape?
almost out.
Nope.
Is he out or not?
Nope.
No, almost. Almost, yes.
Tough call, huh?
No score. Gable.
Run back to the center.
Do we have a referee in the chat? Is Gable getting tired? I mean, he's got to be getting tired. If you're a referee in the chat, do you think that was an escape? Give us a comment here. Okay, so you're up 7-4.
He is really charged up for this bout. He said he thought he had a good chance to beat Dan Gable, and so far he's proving it, leading by a score of 7-4 over the champion in the white headgear. Owings going to a sit out, and he wants Gable to come up over top so he can get his escape. Owings' helmet is coming loose with 1 minute to go here in the second period.
Look at the strength here.
Great strength.
He's got that arm tied up. Gable had his arm, but Owings comes out for a 1-point escape. Gable right back in.
No takedown.
But Owings countered it.
Oh, inside trip?
Inside trip attempt.
And the score now, Owings is...
No, I don't think there should be a takedown here either, because I got the whizzer, and then I get the leg.
Okay, so nowadays in high school wrestling, if you're in that position but you have the leg ride sunk in on the opposite hip, it is a takedown.
He doesn't have the leg ride.
Yeah, let's see if we can kind of watch that position over again here.
That arm tied up. Gable had his arm, but Owings
He's got a whizzer.
for a 1-point escape.
Yep, he's got a whizzer. No hip
Still
control.
has a whizzer.
But Owings countered it. And look at him force it.
See, right there.
Score now, Owings
You got your leg, or
I've got the inside of his leg.
Here. He's close. There it is. 2 points and 8-6.
Still got the whizzer.
Back on the takedown.
Slipping.
and now you got a leg. So yeah, geez.
I had that all along, even with the whizzer.
Gable still has control. The referee points.
Referees in the chat.
Gable does have the control.
That's a referee's.
We're getting down to the final few seconds now.
You know,
They're both in a neutral position.
Pascal Perry did a great job, and he did a good job of refereeing. It was a tough match.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're still in a scramble here. So you're in a reversal. It's 8-6. You're only up 2 now. He's fought all the way back. He's got the takedown here. So you're here trying to fight out of here.
Yeah.
But Gable does have control. It looks like it, but Gable's still got the control.
And there's the end of the second period. We'll be back for the third and concluding period.
All right, Larry. End of second period.
8-6.
You were up big. Now 8-6. He's came back. Maybe a couple questionable calls there. How are you feeling?
Fine. Okay.
Locked in.
Fine. This is Dan Gable. I'm up 8-6. He's got to come and get me, right? But now, so maybe, I guess it's your decision now. Are you going to go back down here?
No.
Okay, let's
Top position's my best spot.
Love it.
Right after this.
Okay, but you're up 8-6, Larry. I mean, I understand it's your best
Trying
position.
to score points.
But if you're on bottom, you can escape. You're up 3, right? You're back on your feet. You've handled him on your feet. As a coach, I'm probably saying go down here. Sam, do you agree? Or
It depends on the wrestlers. If Larry's going there and trying to score some points, which you can tell that's what he's trying to do, put his head down, control the match, score points, pick his best position. If he feels the confidence to go on top right here, let him do it.
questionable call here, Larry. This takes guts, and that's why we're here. It takes guts, because if he reverses you, it's tied, right? But here we go. It's crazy.
No, I wasn't ready. Referee called me for false start, but I wasn't ready.
Called you for false start.
You
There's
can
been
have
100 of
up,
them.
and I was putting my foot up, and he called me for moving.
Blow the whistle. Don't move once I tell you you're set. Ready?
And the big crowd here of around 9,000 is stunned as Dan Gable, undefeated in high school and college, is losing
Oh, my.
I got too aggressive.
Larry Owings. Dan Gable on top.
This is what I was fearful
Trying
of.
to get on top. And I
Thank
believe
gosh
he's
you
gonna
got a
make
leg
it now.
here.
Owings
Oh,
had
no.
that cradle on, but lost it.
I should have just
He was
rode him.
trying
That's
to
what I
reverse,
should
but
have.
actually got reversed. So now the score is 8-8.
8-8, Larry. This is what I was talking about.
Awesome.
Now riding time can become a factor here. Gable.
Okay, Larry, what are you thinking here? You just gave up the reversal, 8-8. Your coach is now fuming in the side, just like I would be. And he gave it up early. But we are back on bottom now. Which is, I mean, you've been able to get your points here. What are you thinking right now?
Get out and take him down.
Score points.
See, other might be get out and stall. Here, get out. Let's take him down again. Okay, Larry, I like it.
Of course, is excellent on top.
The strength by you in this position is crazy.
Getting out of those arm bars is just pure strength.
Then he can
No, I'm
score
resting
one
here.
or
This is
two
my
points.
resting position.
He must have 1 minute more than Owings for 1 point, 2 minutes more for 2
Hips
points.
up.
He's not going to turn me
Look at
there.
him work on that arm.
That's all
I
those
gotta
hay
keep
bales. Throwing all
This
those
is
hay
what we
bales
call
right
he's
there.
Coming up heavy. Riding
Unreal.
Owings real strong.
Are the champions beginning to control the match?
Yes,
Locking
and of
hands.
course, those first 2 periods, Bud, I think is
Yeah, they missed it, didn't
taking
they?
a little gas out of them. They're not moving like they were, although they're still out there battling real well.
Anyway, Stalin so bad on top. I look up the ref, and ref won't call him for Stalin, so I got to go back to work.
Yeah, Gable hasn't really done much on top at all. He's almost like laying and waiting for you to make a move and just trying to counter it. The only thing he's ever had on top is the arm bar, and he's not really, he wasn't really trying to turn you, it looked like. I mean, he was trying to run something, but yeah, he has been
All
stalling.
tied up at 8-all. Owings trying to escape.
He can't seem to get anything working for himself.
You're the only one moving.
Here's the
Gable
one.
is on top.
Watch me
and
look
he
up
is
the ref.
filling up.
What? Go ahead.
See, here's where I look up the ref and get the ref to call him for Stalin, because all he's doing is just riding my wrist.
Riding time.
And Gable looks over to the
Oh,
clock.
there you go.
He's just sitting there.
1 point.
Yes, he has to have 1 minute more than his opponent, and he can get 2 if he should get 2 minutes more.
Looks like Gable's beginning to control the match now. He's the defending champion. There's the riding time.
Now we see riding time, and he does have 2 full minutes more. 4 minutes.
Okay, so can you describe the riding time differential and what the points mean?
Yeah, if there's more than 2 minutes riding time difference, he gets a point for each minute.
Okay, so there is 2 over 2 now. So he's technically up 10-8 right now, even though it's tied, correct? Isn't it 8-8?
Correct.
Okay, and
Gotcha.
about how much time is left here? A minute, I think I heard.
Something like that. I'm not sure exactly how much time's left.
To
But that's a
133.
riding.
Wait a minute. There's an escape. Owings gets
So
out.
one escape.
Okay, he's up 1.
Now he's up 1. Yeah.
Yes, in actuality, now we must remember that Owings, even though he leads 9-8 on the scoreboard, he is behind.
I do a
10-9
fake shot.
because of riding time.
Love that.
That's just a fake.
Looks like Gable could go ahead now. if he
Snap
can
him,
stay on his
snap
feet right here to the end of the match.
I'm going to try and go for the near cradle here, but I can't quite get it.
Gable looks a bit tired.
Yes, he does.
So I just pick the leg up and sweep him.
Seat
Nice
drop.
leg pick.
He's got him down.
1,
The
2.
takedown. And on his back also.
Now it's 13-8 for Owings.
Now,
Gable
I'm
came
on the
right
edge of the
out,
mat.
but
We're in bounds, but I'm going to stall here now. Because I know I'm ahead.
Okay.
You knew that you got the 2 and the 2 right there, right away?
Yep.
Wow.
I had him within an inch of pinning him.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's go back through that here, just because that we want to
is-
kind of.
Yeah.
Gable looks a bit tired.
Okay, so you wanted the cradle. He came up and out of it, and basically you're just muscling him over for a little bit of a seat drop there.
Yeah, I pick the leg and kind of pull it back, and he
Leg
just
pick.
drops on his butt.
Yeah, so the issue he had there is he decided to plant this leg coming around instead of get it out and sprawl. So you actually fold him right over his knee. Look at this. Boom, on the right side there.
he's got him
Control
down.
1,
The 2-point
2.
takedown. And on his back also.
Now, this is controversial, obviously. What do you think, looking back on it now? You think absolutely 2 swipes here?
Well, there are some pictures out there of him on his back, and he's within an inch to 2 inches.
Okay, we got a couple comments here I didn't see earlier. I'm sorry. Did you guys put up this one? Gable lost track of the score. That's Chris Weiss. And then Dave Gilbertson said, I called takedown in the who's number one duel with the Wizard, but the guy stepped over and put in the leg for control.
Earlier.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Today, that's how you will get control from that Wizard position. Chris Weiss, mat awareness, and it was a judgment call. Absolutely a judgment call. Yeah. Was there opportunities back in the day to kind of do any type of review, or what was there a coach's challenge that could have happened?
No, nothing.
Wow. So whatever the ref called on the mat was it.
That was it.
Now it's 13-8 for Owings. The Gable came right up.
Watch me stall here.
13-9 now.
Hang on to that arm. I know where I'm at.
Grab the elbow.
So it's 13-11 technically right now.
There's not much time left, bud.
13-9.
Well, 13-9, but he's got 2 points riding time.
Right.
So it's 13-11. But what I noticed right there, and I don't know about this, I mean, obviously he's tired, but if you were down 2 points right here, you'd think you would be hustling your butt off to try to score something here.
That's because Larry's got his elbow, dude.
I know, but I mean, give me something. Die out here.
I'm not going anywhere.
There's not much time left, bud.
And the ref called it. We should have just let it expire.
There was a lot of bounds here. What was this? Stalemate, maybe?
Now, if you watch me, I'll get up and go over and pick up his contact lens on the mat.
No way.
But the problem is he's going over to the scores table.
Oh, wow.
Now, did you do that because you needed some more time to stall, or what?
No, I knew exactly where his contact lens was, and I wanted to give it back to him because I was such a nice guy.
Right. Is that the right score? 13-9.
I love the ref. Is that the right score?
Yeah. The score is 13-9, favor Green.
They should be on their feet, right?
Dan Gable is bewildered by the score, but he can't figure out that score. Perry just gave the score 13-9. Now, Gable didn't think there was a predicament, I'm sure, and he thought that...
Did he just throw his contact to the side?
Yeah, I think because
I don't know what he did with the contact.
I think it's because he knew it was hanging on the mat for a while, so it's like...
when I was on the bottom, I saw it on the mat. And I actually tried to pick it up at one point, and Gable just crunched me down. And so finally I said, well, heck to that. I'm going to get back to wrestling. And so at the first opportunity when there was a break, I went over and picked up the contact and gave it back.
Gotcha.
7 tie with his riding time. You're both up. You're both up. You're both up.
Yeah, okay. Let's say both up.
Now there's only 3 seconds remaining.
3 seconds.
And he goes for the shot.
I love that. That's strategy right there. Yeah. Take a shot.
And here's the thing I have against a lot of people is when they win a big match like this, they jump up and pound their chest and pump their muscles and point to the crowd and everything else. That to me is unsportsmanlike conduct. And we shouldn't tolerate that kind of crap. You guys are out there. You're competitors. You're not enemies. You're not out there to make fun of anybody. But you be a good sport and you treat the other person with respect.
Yeah, I think there's some great photos of you and Dan shaking hands before the hand raise. I think where you guys are shaking hands, kind of both knees on the mat and looking at each other like, hey, that was a good battle. That's what it's all about.
Just watch here, and you won't see any fist pumping or anything else. For the
first time in high school or his intercollegiate career, Dan Gable, after 181 in a row, has lost to the sophomore from the University of Washington, Larry Owings, being swept off his feet by his coach, Jimmy Smith. And there's a very unhappy Dan Gable being greeted by Coach Harold Nichols. Larry Owings, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, breaking that streak of Dan Gable.
of the first match he's lost in high school or college.
Thank you.
Did you have any special strategy of going out or not?
Just go after him. The only thing I have.
I understand that you made this weight just to face Gable.
No, not really. It's the weight I should go at. And Gable just happened to be there. So
Now tell me.
Not in charge.
You went way out ahead, then he came back.
yeah,
Did you change anything there? Were you really out after him? You know you were losing advantage time.
yeah, I know. Well, I figured I could beat him in the third round. Because I thought he was more out of shape than I was.
Thanks, Larry. We'll give you a chance to catch your breath as you look at Dan Gable. And we'll return with Larry Owings' analysis of his victorious bout over the previously undefeated Dan Gable. He'd won 181 in a row as they never lost in high school or college. Did you have any special strategy in this match or not?
No,
I
no
did.
special strategy. I just
I
going to
did.
go out there and give it everything I had. If I won, if I didn't, why, that's the way it goes.
Well, some people said perhaps he went too much for tried to pin you. Do you believe that or not?
No, I don't. I believe it was just the opposite. I think if he'd have tried harder to pin me, it'd have been much closer than it was.
Dumb answer,
Now,
Owings.
I tell you what we'd like to do right now is show you your match if we could, and why don't you describe exactly what happened?
We'll stop it right there, Larry. That's
That
you
was
know,
awesome, man.
how crazy, Larry. Okay, you know, we've finished it. How did you feel? You know, now looking back on it, you got, you know, like you mentioned, you've had some time to have some time to answer that question. You know, if I'm proposing the same question to you now, you know, in your elder years, how do you feel about getting that win over Dan Gable?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, that loss to Dan Gable probably propelled him into an even better wrestler, into another category. I mean, he went on to become Olympic champion and world champion, and he's an awesome wrestler, no question about it. And he's probably one of the greatest wrestlers, if not the greatest wrestlers that the United States has ever had. And I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, and with the right attitude and everything to be able to beat him. But no, Dan's a great wrestler, and you know, I've corresponded with him over the years, and he's a great guy too. And I've never been Dan Gable's enemy. You know, we were competitors, and that's why I wanted to leave it. But it's, you know, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and then you know, a little bit too is I think he got the win back on you on Olympic trials just a couple months later. Is that correct?
Well, that's another story. See, I was going to go at 136 and a half, and I weighed 138 the night before, and I could have made the weight, but I knew I wasn't going to go to the Olympics. My ex-wife was pregnant at the time and was going to have a baby at the time I would be there, and she didn't want me to go, and so I knew I wasn't going to go, and I had no money, no way to support the family. And family comes first. I mean, I don't care how you cut it, you know, family always comes first. And so you make the sacrifices. But so instead of wrestling 136 and a half, I decided to go up to 149 and a half.
Jeez.
Wrestle Dan Gable. Dan Gable would beat me, and then everybody would just leave me alone. I'm not one that goes out and seeks publicity. I'm not an extrovert. I'm introverted. I like my privacy, and I like being the underdog and all of that. And so I knew that if I lost to Dan Gable, people would leave me alone. But guess what? That didn't happen. They didn't leave me alone. They were still after me. But that was one reason. The other thing reason I went up to 149 and a half was there was a guy by the name of Reed Lamphere who had beaten me as a freshman.
That's what you said earlier. Yeah.
Pounds, and he was 149. And I thought, I'm going to go up and wrestle Reed Lamphere. And so I went up to that weight class, and guess what? I got a chance to wrestle Reed Lamphere, and I beat him. So I evened the score up with Reed. And then there was another guy in that weight class by the name of Lloyd Keiser. And you probably heard of Lloyd Keiser. You know, I think he was a world champion too. And placed in the worlds and a bunch of other stuff. We're a very, very good wrestler. But when I was, I think it was when I was a senior, he had come down to me in the locker room. And this was after I lost. I got second place the last 2 years. But after I lost, he came down to me and says, Owings, he said, if I'd have been on your side of the bracket, I'd have kicked your ass.
Oh.
And so I wanted to make sure that Lloyd had a chance to have that shot. And so I wrestled Lloyd Keyser also and gave him his chance to kick my derriere. And it didn't quite turn out that way, though. I beat him 18-6, I think.
Jeez. Well, Larry, that was the part of the podcast where we got a chance to review that match, and that was a very special thing, I think, for everybody. You know, that in my opinion will go down as one of the coolest things I think that just ever was able to happen. I mean, just to get your live commentary on the match, revisionist. But Sam, I think we're going to go into, you know, the part of the podcast is what can we do to bring wrestling back?
Hey man,
We
I
got
know.
to bring wrestling back. In
Yeah,
Washington.
Larry, let's talk about it. I know we don't have much time. We're going a little long here. First of all, thank you so much, man, for coming on the podcast. You are
It's been my pleasure.
you're a Washington wrestling.
When I
legend.
retired in 2003, you know, I realized that this win over Dan Gable wasn't going to go away, and people weren't going to leave me alone.
Yeah.
So instead of avoiding it, I decided that I'm going to change my attitude and start embracing it.
Yeah.
And so I have tried to go out of my way to embrace wrestling in whatever way I can to try and improve it and make things better. And it's helped my attitude more than anything else. And I've been able to help a lot of kids and put them on their way, you know, to doing well in wrestling and helping them in other ways, I guess. But,
Yeah,
you know,
I would say
it took me a while to get to that point.
I would say, Larry, that, you know, the win against Dan Gable is what a lot of people, who, especially people who don't know you, is what, you know, brings them to this podcast, right? That's how we promoted it is, you know, this is the huge upset. This is what happened. But that doesn't necessarily define your entire career. You came up from Canby, Oregon, all the way to wrestling in the NCAAs, not just against Dan Gable, but against multiple great wrestlers, and had a fantastic career and contributed to the sport, coached. You did everything. And at Washington Wrestling Network, we're trying to give back to the sport. And a huge part of it is to uplift Washington wrestling. And you're a wrestler for the University of Washington. Unfortunately, they're not around anymore. But that doesn't mean that we can't have them back. So what does it take, Larry? What do we got to do to get Washington wrestling back?
Washington is now, I think, a member of the Big Ten Conference, aren't they?
Correct.
And almost all of the schools in the Big Ten, now I don't know for sure, but I think a lot of them have wrestling still and compete in the NCAA and everything else. And I don't know if the administration at the University of Washington is afraid to start a wrestling team because they think they're going to get beat a whole bunch of times, or whether they think I don't think it's a monetary thing, because wrestling doesn't take a lot of money. And at the time when they cut it, it was Title IX was what was given as the reason. Well, we've got women's wrestling. Look at the good wrestlers in the state of Washington, women's wrestling. And there's good wrestlers down here in Oregon too that are women. Well, let's start a men's and a women's wrestling program and get it going again. But, you know, we've got to get a coach in there that's a good promoter, much like Jim Smith was, and get the ball rolling. We can't just get somebody that is a good wrestling coach and get him in there. We got to get somebody that's able to promote the sport of wrestling and get it going. But like I say, I don't know if the administration is afraid because they might get beat and look bad, or what. But you know, I wish they would get it started again. And if I could help in any way, and I know there's a number of other wrestlers out there, UW alumni and stuff like that, would love to see the sport come back too.
Yeah, it's something that, obviously we talk about here, and we don't just talk about like the idea of having it, but like all of these great wrestlers seem to leave the state to find that, to find where they would move on. What's
Yep.
great is that we do have, Big Bend Community College and what's the other school? I'm just blanking. Evergreen, sorry. And then and they have girls programs too. And I think you're right dead on, Larry.
Yeah.
I think it all comes with the girls.
Does Washington State have a full team anymore, or is there just a club wrestling up there?
No, we have 2 teams.
At Washington State?
No, not at Washington State. Sorry, you're talking about
that's
the
a
D1
club program.
level?
Yeah.
That's a club program.
Correct.
Yeah. And does University of Washington have a club program?
They do. It isn't as prevalent or as big as Wazoo's. The Cougs are doing a really good job championing their club program. They're really promoting it.
Does Highline Community College have a program anymore?
Fun fact, I wrestled for Highline in 2009. I'm a graduate of Highline College. Wrestled there for a couple years, and they cut the program I would say probably 5-6 years ago. But
Grace Harbor has some kind of a thing going over there. I don't know if it's club or full-fledged team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that, when we started this podcast, Larry, when we started championing, folks like you and, unveiling the curtain on some of the history of this state, especially the University of Washington, is that, there's just great history here. There's great wrestlers here. And, we got to rally together to find out how we can get wrestling back at the University of Washington. And I don't have the answers, but I know that it starts here. It starts at a grassroots movement with folks like us to be able to figure out how to do that.
We got to get a good coach in there that's a good promoter. And Jim Smith was in there. He did a great job. In less than 5 years, you're a nationally ranked team. And it could happen again. And Oregon State's team's no longer good. So there's no teams on the West Coast hardly at all that are any good. Stanford, I think, is probably about the best team on the West Coast.
Utah Valley is Utah Valley. We have some Washington wrestlers at. They're pretty good. They just beat Stanford, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there's not many left.
Yeah. So, well, we have to do whatever we can. But Larry, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're going to have to end this here and kind of give you the floor to say, if there's anything on your mind or anything, go ahead. This is your time here.
The only thing I was going to say is if there's any way that I can help promote the program at UW and get the program started back up there, please let me know. I'd be happy to come up and do whatever I can to get the thing going again for you.
That's awesome, Larry. We're going to do our best to kind of make that happen too. What's kind of great is now you're in my phone and you might get bugged. You might get bugged.
I got your name on there, so I might just ignore it.
Yeah. Now it's me calling. But Larry, you can go ahead and hit that leave studio button, my friend. But thank you so much. And I know that the entirety of the state of Washington thanks you very much for your contributions. And to be honest, I think you're going to be the reason why we get it back, because we can reference the concept that we were able to do it before and we can do it again. And I think we just got to get the ball rolling.
We got to get the ball going. And thanks so much for having me on. It's been fun. I've enjoyed this.
That's awesome. And maybe we can get you back sometime. That would be really cool.
After the program gets going.
Yes, that would be awesome. Awesome. All right, Larry. Well, you have a wonderful night, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. And then Sam, we appreciate you both guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Larry. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was Larry Owings. That was fun. That was a top moment in my wrestling career right there. I think it was just so fun to be able to get a chance to sit down and go through the Dan Gable match with the guy himself, Sam. That was just cool. I hope people enjoy that. We're going to try to clip that, put it on YouTube for the entirety of people to see that, because I thought it was just amazing.
You know what, like my like just dreams and visions are of like UW wrestling coming back, or like having Larry Owings be like the lead ambassador for it, you know, even if it's just like a ribbon cutting type of ceremony, but really, you know, championing Larry Owings' career and history and all the UW wrestlers' history and how successful they were to get this going, you know. Again, this is a big reason why I started this podcast with you, Matt, was just to rev up this state and to get us propelled to the highest level possible. And I don't know how far it's going to go, but it's going to go as far as we all make it. And we're counting on all of you guys to help us with that. But Larry is just a stepping stone to that, or a huge corner piece to that process. So who knows?
We'll see. The final thing that I'll say here is, you know, college national duels is starting, and it's happening this weekend. And I was watching the press conference, and somebody had made a comment in there about how niche wrestling is. And then I kind of tried to assess, like, okay, well, why, you know? And I really do believe, and this is just between me and you, is I personally don't think Flow's doing as great of a job with what they have. It seems like they're just out there to put content out. I think they've pulled back from the champion part of it that I think is out there that they need to be doing a little bit better, because, you know, we look at us, dude, like our podcast, our reach has grown so much just in the state of Washington. Imagine like what we could do if we get a version of us in every state and we're all doing it together. And it's like, dude, you can't stop us if we're a conglomerate. But for some reason, wrestling's looked at as kind of a niche product. But it's like, dude, we all, like the parents, the wrestlers, if you think about it, like we could fill an entire Tacoma Dome with a state tournament, girls, boys. Like, how come all those people aren't tuning into it? You know, so we have to find a way to kind of bridge that gap. And I think once that happens and wrestling gets to the mainstream, we'll see it come back.
It's the writing's on the wall for sure, man. And like, it's easy to just be in your box, your wrestling box. I grew up a wrestler, I grew up in a wrestling family, but like, man, like it is such an exciting sport. And around here, we've kind of gotten down a little bit in the last few years, but there's so much to look forward to. But like people gotta try, people gotta like rally, and people gotta like put their best foot forward. And you know, that's what we're doing here. That's what all you guys are doing who are supporting us. But spread the word, man. Like, let's get it going. And it's supporting your local communities. It's going to be a grassroots movement. That's what it has to be in order for us to propel this thing forward. So I believe, baby.
Larry was my uncle's high school coach. That's a cool comment there. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to the Washington Wrestling Network podcast. That was an amazing podcast. We have more live streams coming up. This Sunday, we do have our top 10 rankings podcast happening. I think it's like 6 o'clock, something like that. You will get a post from us, and we're ready to get this season rolling. And I want to talk, lastly, I want to say, the teams out there that are doing incredible. I mean, you know, the teams we're talking about, you know, Tahoma, Ording, Gonzaga Prep, Hermiston, you know, all of them. They're all the teams that are good. Like
Meade.
I don't want to, I want to stop. I want to stop like people hating on the teams. Like, let's be fans of this. Like, you get to watch these freshmen like Miro Parr-Coffin and Ryder Owen and these just incredible freshmen coming in here this year. It's going to be electric. The freshmen that came from last year, the sophomores, the juniors, and then the seniors this year. Like, we're going to have an incredible year. Kids that you get to watch grow up right in front of your face, Laz McEwen, and they're going to be what we were talking about with Layers. Like, you know, Miro and Ryder, they seem like perfect candidates for UW wrestlers in 4 or 5 years. If we continue to do this, that may be where we're going. So let's champion this. Let's get behind it, and let's move it. Sam, final.
Yeah. I mean, you always wrap it up in the best way possible. And then you passed it to me like I got something else to say. I don't have anything else to say. Yeah, pods on Sunday. We're launching the top 10 rankings on our website. We got WIAA. We got Kesterson from the WIAA coming
Dual
on next
Team
week,
State.
Wednesday.
It's coming
Dual
this
Team State.
year.
We got so much fun stuff coming out of
Transfers.
you guys. Let's just
That's
keep it
awesome.
rolling, bro.
Thank you for.
4, 3, 2, 1.